You know how in India, the monkey hunters, how they catch monkeys? It's an interesting process. They take the jar of chickpeas and they tie it to a tree and they put it they put it out into the wilderness. Monkey comes along and chickpeas? So excited, the monkey takes this and shoves it into the jar and captures the chickpeas. And now he's trying to pull it out. And of course he can't pull it out because the jar is not wide enough for his fist to pass through. So he's pulling and pulling. Oh my God, I'm trapped. What do I do? Help, help! And he can't get out. And then the monkey catcher comes and takes the monkey and moves on. And that's how he catches the monkey. Right? And so if only we could tell the monkey to just let go. And then with that relaxation, draw the hand out and free itself. But it won't, because it wants that food badly, right? It's exactly our predicament here. We get incarnated into a body and all the pleasures of the body. We want this, we want this, we want this food, we want this sensation, we want to see this, we want to do that, we want to visit the world, right? There's so much we want to do. It's called like a bucket list. You know that word? Bucket list, right? So it's like, well, how many bucket lists do you have? We've gone through like 1 million lifetimes of trying to fulfill a bucket list, and yet we're still doing the same thing over and over and over again. I mean, this is like, did you ever see that movie? I think it was with Bill Murray. It's called Groundhog Day. This is Groundhog Day. Where we're repeating, because in the last lifetime we did the same thing. We ate the same foods, we met the same people, we participated in the same ways. This is sort of ad nauseum, over and over and over again. And you wonder when a person gets a hint. It says, when is it time to wake up out of this dream of this circle going around and around and around like a hamster wheel? And when a person really desires to break out, to free their consciousness of the world, of the universe, of being some sort of character in this vast dream, when you start to really desire that, then the spiritual seeker is born. Then you're ready to seek divinity. And then every day, that's all you can think of is, who am I? What am I? Where am I? How did I get here? What is the nature of this reality? How can I free myself? How can I liberate my consciousness from being stuck inside this tiny, tiny, tiny little speck amongst the infinite universe? And so, and not only when you wake up, but throughout the day, you're thinking, who am I? What am I? It becomes this obsession to break out of the illusion of the mind. And so these mantras are extremely helpful. Consider them as a wake-up call. Wake up out of the dream. There's this beautiful song. It goes like this. It's a song that was sung by an Indian princess back in the 1800s. Her name was Mandansa, and she was an illumined being, a great enlightened being. So she didn't have any desires for the world. And then there was this great king at that time of India who fell in love with her. She was also beautiful, enlightened and beautiful. So,
how about enlightened is beautiful?
at least physically, And the king wanted her, and just said, "I will you marry me? I'll do anything." She didn't really desire to get married, but she said, "Okay, if we get married, then I just want one thing. I want to be in charge of the children when they're born. I will be in charge." It's a good wish, actually. And he said, "Yeah, I'll do it." "Okay, I'll do it. You're in charge." And so the first child was born. And the first thing that she sang to that baby was this song. Sudosi, Budosi, Niranjanosi, Sansar Maya, Parivarjitosi, Samsara Sapna, Tachamohinidram, Sudosi, Budosi, Niranjanosi. Wake up, my child. Wake up out of this illusion. Realize your true self. You are enlightened. You're free. Wake up. And she just kept singing this mantra over and over to the child. And guess what happened? The child was free. The consciousness of that child was liberated and freed from the world. No more suffering, no more pain, no more hurt, no more sorrow. Completely full consciousness. That mantra helps to activate the chakras also and moves the kundalini up to the top and releases you into infinity. And so each child that was born, she sang that song. And of course the fifth child, the king got upset. He says, but all these children before, like they're becoming free and then they're walking away into the wilderness somewhere and they're renouncing the world because they don't care about worldly things anymore. We need a king. What am I going to do? I need someone to like take over the kingdom. And then she says, oh, fine. She said, then I must leave this place as well. But this last child will be for you to train. So she gave the child up to the king, and the king trained him to be a great warrior and a great king, and he took care of the kingdom. But the mother gave this child, who was ruling the kingdom at one point, said, okay, I'm going to give you this ring, this special ring, and inside the ring is a note. So if you ever feel like you're in trouble, open the ring. There's a secret place inside, and you'll find a message from me, and that will help you. And of course, when the young man grew up and he started taking care of the kingdom, he found out it's quite stressful. And he started to suffer. He thought, God, I thought this was going to be so fun. Taking care of this kingdom. And now, oh my God, I'm suddenly being attacked from all sides by other kingdoms. Because once you own a kingdom, everyone wants your land, right? And that's how it works. This is the nature of Earth. It's all about war. I want what you've got. Right? We've been living that for thousands of years. So we all know this is all about war. And of course, wars represent the internal mind too. What is inside your mind manifests out into the world. So war within your mind and a world outside. So he goes, and by that time his mother and father had left and gone into the forest and were in meditation and, focusing on their own liberation and merging with God. So he says, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. I'm being attacked by all sides. Oh yes, the ring. So he goes and opens up his treasure box and finds the ring and opens and says a message. And the message says, my son, my dear son, whenever you're in trouble, please go seek out a great enlightened being in the forest and get guidance from that being. He's like, what does that mean? Okay. So secretly, he creeps out of the castle one evening and kind of leaves the prime minister and everyone to kind of take care of things. And he goes into the forest and he meets a great guru, a great illumined being named Dattatreya. Dattatreya. If you haven't heard of him, you can look him up on Google. Dattatreya's gurus were 24. He had 24 gurus. Dattatreya, and earth, water, sun, moon, dog, prostitute. It's an interesting one. Learning detachment. And many other gurus, mostly nature. And so he was an extraordinary being. So this king ends up finding Dattatreya in the forest, living in a cave. And the first image that he sees of Dattatreya is very bizarre. He sees him sitting on a rock outside of his cave, and he's kind of like wearing rags or whatever, and on one side on his lap is a beautiful half-naked woman, and the other side he's holding a bottle of alcohol. And
very illumined.
And this man and the king looked at him and said, "Is this the guru? I know it is, but this seems so strange. What is he doing? He has a woman, half-naked woman, and he's drinking this intoxicating liquor." And he appeared drunk, right? And so the Dattatreya is like throwing stuff at the king. And the king says, "Oh, my dear sir, I've come here to learn from you." And Dattatreya says, "Go away, go away." And he keeps coming back. And the king gets all this abuse. But he knows this is his teacher. Finally, Dattatreya says, "Okay, what do you want?" And then this king says, "I just want to know the nature of truth, reality. Who am I? I want to find out my true self." And Dattatreya says, "Fine, go bring me some berries and nuts out of the forest." So the king begins to serve him, because the first step on the path of spirituality is service. In Sanskrit, they call it seva. It's the first step. So the king humbles himself. He's king. He has 1,000 servants that could give him anything he wants. And here he is, eagerly serving his guru, right? And so bit by bit, when you serve the guru, you are purifying your karma. You're connecting to a being who is out of this world. So you start to, whatever you serve, whatever you focus on is what you become, right? So after a while, finally, Dattatreya says, "Wow, you've really gone out of your way. Now, I'll ask you, what boon do you want?" And the king says, "Well, I want liberation. I want freedom. I want to know myself." And so he begins then to give the teachings of enlightenment, of the nature of explaining the nature of the mind, and how everything that you experience in the mind is just one dream, one endless dream, on and on and on and on. And how as you purify your karma, you free your mind of the bondage of the belief in separation from infinity. And so at some point, after some serious contemplation and spiritual work, the king frees himself. And at that point, he goes back to his kingdom. And by then it's quite under siege, and it's about to be conquered. And he goes into the palace, and he looks out at the warriors out there that are attacking, and he says, "I don't really need or want to be king anymore. I have no desire." So he goes out into the middle of the battlefield and walks straight up to the king of the opposing country, walks up to him and says, "You can have it all. It's yours. I have no desire." And the king's mouth, the other king, his mouth dropped. Like, "What? I thought you were going to fight. That's what you're supposed to do." So I don't have a desire for my kingdom anymore. Literally, no interest anymore. It's all yours. Besides, you look like a noble king. And so the king, who was the opposing king, says, "Man, this man is quite detached. He's quite illumined. He recognized him as a great being. And he says, actually, I don't want to conquer your kingdom. You can take it back. I'm done. He changed his mind. He had to change a heart right on the battlefield. Could you imagine that? Right? That's what an enlightened being does. Like, it has that power. Anything can be sort of diffused through that. When you don't want anything anymore, what can people give you? All the pleasures of the palace of the world, and you don't need it to be happy. That's freedom. Not that you can't enjoy that if that falls in your lap, but you don't need it anymore. You're not clinging to the world. You've released your hand from the bottle of chickpeas.